welcome to my video blog. The reason I wanted to do a video on this particular blog is because I'm focusing this month in my newsletter on really the power and the benefits of coaching. And by that, I'm not just referring to athletic coaching, although you can definitely find a parallel. If you think about the difference between an amateur athlete and a professional athlete, is really all down to the coaching. It's having somebody to push you and hold you accountable and really raise the bar for you. And I think that when you're talking business coaching or life coaching, it's kind of the same thing if you want to be playing on a different level. So on that note, I thought who better than to introduce you to one of my personal favorite coaches, because he helps coach me. His name's Daniel, and he's coming to us live from San Diego right now. So I'll let him introduce himself, and I think this is a great opportunity to hear his story. So Daniel.
Hey, Dina. How are you?
I'm great, thanks.
So yes, I'm in San Diego. I've lived here for 3 years. I'm originally from your neck of the woods, Boston and Providence area. So I'd say thank you for including me in the interview. Appreciate it.
Thrilled to have you. I think it's good for people to hear different perspectives, and you've gone and had some challenges and transitions in your life, and I'm hoping you're willing to share some of that with us.
Sure. Interesting. I was reading a Gallup poll this morning about management and leadership, and it's a common theme today that people are just not very engaged in work, and they're getting very stressed out, and they don't know how to move forward. It appears that organizations have quite a bit of potential and a lot of talent within their pools of people, but they're missing something. And invest in human capital. It appears that maybe revenue share has been the more important thing, and it's starting to show. So personal experience is exactly the same thing. Working in clinic healthcare several years ago, and then moving to the business side of healthcare, implementing interventions and technology solutions to really help improve patient care, and then moving towards working on the business development side and filling in the gaps of how organizations can really improve. And what I found is that the tech breaks. There's a lot of software and different things, and what I found that was very successful was working with people directly on the workflow solution and how people operate. How do they think? And when we started to look at those types of things and engaging people in the equation, a whole bunch of people learn to communicate better. They relate better. They can function more clearly in and out of the office, because ultimately that's what we want to do. We're working so that we can have a better life in whichever way that means to us. So that's really how I got into doing what I'm doing now as an executive coach who works with managers and executives of medium, large size organizations that really want to improve their performance, but also create successful teams. So through learning how to use the pain through all that.
Do you have a client that you've worked with that maybe you've seen like really amazing transformation through taking part in coaching?
Yes, actually, there's several.
Me? No, I'm just kidding.
Would you like to share your story?
I'm a work in progress.
Well, next we'll talk about you, anonymous. Several of my clients, they are leaders within the workplace, and they heard me because they said, hey, I'm at the top of my game. I've got all the skills, I know how to get here, but I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted, I'm anxious, I all the stress, I don't know who to talk to, and I want to evolve my leadership skills, but I don't know how. There's no time in the day, I can't do it. So one woman in particular, she's a care administrator, and she had lots of anxiety because of that large responsibility of managing many hundreds of people and patients and urgent care. And so she started off with lots of anxiety and different things, and so we really focused on lifestyle management type stuff first. And lifestyle management management software that actually helped her improve her health, which made her clear. She gave herself a 15-minute break every hour, and then suddenly she was able to begin writing and reading and developing her creativity and her communication. Those were one of her highest competencies, but being stunted by all the stress and piles of work after work after work. By the end of the day, she was so exhausted that and she would go home and work more, and she was missing out on all the family stuff. So one of the biggest successes for her was reducing the stress so that she could actually spend time with her family when she was not working, and a more solid schedule where she's able to use her creativity in a variety of ways. In addition to that, other opportunities have come up for her within her careers of for other types of roles in and outside of the organization that are really in line with who she would be. So what it is really is it's when we engage in the work, we know that we're maybe unsatisfied. When we kind of run out of solutions. The best way to start is to see where we are, where we're at, and it means taking an assessment, snapshot of how we go, and looking at what we're good at, how we perform, maybe in a proactive way, things that come naturally to us, and then looking at maybe those other things that come to us in not so natural of a way that we're reacting to, that means that we need maybe a little bit more information to act, or we need some stimuli to act. And we're able to balance those competencies to get those to our advantage. The more we know about oneself, the more research that we do, the more we're able to see that within other people, and we begin to collaborate and communicate. And we see that that guy sits down in the outside of the office from me. He's not really a jerk. He might just have something going on. He has a different style, and we're able to complement each other and relate to each other and communicate, and beautiful things happen.
Have that feeling of being stuck and kind of paralyzed in stress, and just kind of waiting for things to change in their lives. And I think you made a point about putting in the work, and I think the more you put in that work on the inside, it does start to change things automatically on the outside. And nothing changes unless we put in some effort. So good advice.
I agree. And sometimes unfortunately it gets so bad that we get sick. Health issues are a result of a whole things, and sometimes genetics, but sometimes it's our own mind, building the stress, and we get sick. And then it's that thing that the circumstantial event that occurs on my family, cardiac disease is prevalent. Cardiovascular disease is prevalent. Is style? Is it stress? Is it anxiety? It could be all things. So but what I do know is that when somebody has a heart attack, or they have a stroke, or they have learn that they have diabetes, their life very, very quickly. And changing, moving through it's not easy, and it's very difficult to do it alone. But once we're able to let down our egos and accept that maybe somebody else has dealt with these kinds of things before, and that there is help, that I don't have it alone. And that's from a health perspective, and that's from a business executives, as executives, we get all caught up in our head sometimes of, hey, we know what we're doing, we don't need anybody's help. But if you step back and take a broad assessment of how it's are, then you a way to tweak things and engage people a bit more in what we're doing, and not have to take on the burden of all these things all the time.
Right. So, a moment when you had that switch from, because I know you had this transition from in the medical field to teaching and what you're doing now. That's without obstacles. That's not an easy course. It never is. What moment where you had that switch and said, "I'm doing this"? Because it's a lifestyle change as well.
Oh, completely. Yeah. So my catalyst was flying handles of my mountain bike and laying shoulder crashing and separating my shoulder, and I was told that I needed surgery. So basically, I very stressed out, and I used exercise to help manage my stress, and I went over the top. I just going and going and going until literally I crashed. I was middle of a field, on the trails, and I got off the ground, and I wasn't really sure if I was alive or dead. But when I, was able off the ground, and I just realized, oh my God, man, I can't continue like this. There has to be a better way. And that was the catalyst for me. And that taught that, what, if you keep going this way, you're gonna end up dead. I mean, straight, you have cardiovascular history in your family. You have tons of stress. You're not managing it. And I just ended up with a shoulder that was busted up, and actually learned how to heal in a complementary way, in an integrated way. But that was my wake-up call. Along and actually during the same time, there's a whole bunch of deaths in my family. I was losing, the elders in my family that were, in their 80s, and I got into her late 80s, and that's one thing she always says, like, you gotta take care of yourself, 87, because you don't, I'm really lucky,
You're lucky.
Yeah, if you're lucky, you have genetics for that, but it's a matter of quality of life also. You're sure you could live to 100, but to have a poor quality of life. So really what it was, I took a broad assessment to, like, where's the path I'm going in, and it doesn't line up with what my values are, really what I want in my life. So I had to change it, and that was the point that, that big moment. It wasn't like, oh, well, should I or shouldn't I? It's like, no, you have to.
So I think it's easy, because a lot of people have these things that happen to them in life, and it's very easy to I hate to say become a victim, because that sounds so sad, but to feel powerless, and it's like you don't have any choices, and it's kind of to realize that you always do, and that you can be proactive in changing the course of how you're going to go forward from here on out.
I mean, we sometimes the word reactive, and we think it's a bad thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It might be that we just need a little bit more data. Maybe we need to build our trust up for some reason, because we don't have information about something. And what me in particular was that, like I said, I didn't trust anybody. My got divorced, and I had a problem with trust, and I thought that I was the only person I could rely on. So I put a lot of pressure on myself, and that impacted my adult life, and then later on my professional life. It rolled right into my work, into my my personal relationship, and when I started to see that that I was happy, and I was really, maybe I was smiling outside, but I was really unhappy. It was one of my friends that I grew up with and reconnected with out here in San Diego. When I learned he actually committed suicide, that was another shake-up for me. He was the same age as me, grew up together, we go riding around together out here in San Diego, and I get a call that, hey, something happened to him, and found out that he committed suicide. And for me, that was the ultimate, like, no way can this happen anymore. Too rough, and they're hurting inside, and it's time for me to do what I can. So that means that I need to heal from whatever is hurting me too, and I need to do the work, and I need to step up as a leader and demonstrate that it doesn't have to be this way. So unfortunately, health or death or all these things are these tragic situations that are catalysts for people, but sometimes it has to be done, and there's others that can pick up the piece and help other people.
Right. Thanks for that, right? Just to segue a little bit, because I know one of the reasons that you and I met was through the Sports Mind Institute. Can you tell us a little bit about your involvement with that, what that is, and what you do with SMI?
Sure. I actually became involved in the Sports Mind Institute 4 years ago. During one of those transitions in my life of feeling separated between my personal somewhere in my professional life. I was looking to be grounded in who I was as a person. When I was back east, I had returned from Carolina after I got laid off from that job I mentioned, and I found my tribe. I was invited to a workshop, and sitting looking at this guy with a bow tie, with this whiteboard, and saying all these things, and that I always felt in my heart, but I was way too afraid to say. And I just said, boy, if that guy can do it, I must be able to do it. I don't know how. So that really began my journey into professional development and making those connections. And so that guy, he's Dr. Rebel, who is the Chief Officer for the Sports Mind Institute. And so through the years, he and I have been working together in different capacities. And he turned me on to State University, where I'm working on my master's degree in integrative medicine and health science. My part of my journey along the way was my love for sport. Sports taught me how to manage and cope through all these different stresses in my life. And when I was relying on myself, I went back. I would reconnect with me through physical stuff. I was involved in soccer and martial arts. I played football. Loved jumping on my bicycle for 20 miles. My parents would have no idea where I was, but they thought I was maybe escaping from something, but I wasn't. I was very connected. So I think these leadership lessons through the lens of sports are really powerful. And Sports Mind Institute does that through professional, through Major League Baseball, and so these leaders have stepped up to do the thing and say, you know what, hey, I've done it, and it's easy, but I share my story and make it possible for you too. So courses and the curriculum is all about, it's about teaching life and leadership lessons through the lens of sports. Well, it's really uncommon content too. I mean, you see these guys on TV or interviews and this and that, and like, who are they? How did they get there? And this is how you learn that that you can do it too. And the big thing about it too is that especially as a professional, we're meeting all the time. Business development, we're in sales, we're always meeting new people, and we're always looking to stories, and during this professional development practice of learning to relate from the deeper way, really from the heart, connecting the heart and the mind to know oneself and to be able to receive when other people are speaking, facilitate communication stronger and develop deeper relationships. And through the training, we're learning how to hear the story of somebody like Eric Weinheimer, who's a blind venture, and what he had to deal with. He was a blind. I mean, come on, a blind guy climbing Everest. Like, come on. So what excuse do I have? Like, I can see.
Just to clarify, like, the material is not just for people who want to go into a career in sports, right?
Exactly right. So it's using. It could be a career in sports. It could be business as sport, and that's the thing. Business as sport, and using. We have an executive leadership coaching certification program too, for people that want to stay with us. And it can be individually, it can be organizationally based. So it's a combination of things. Yeah.
So, I'm excited to find out more about it, and I know you're helping me get my certification, and people are probably wondering, what the heck? I think I had somebody ask me the other day, like, what's with the sports thing? But in actuality, I grew up with a family very involved in sports. My grandfather was actually an Olympic athlete, so sports are extremely competitive in my family as I grew up, and I don't consider myself an athlete anymore, but definitely that sort of mindset of wanting to do best and understanding that I've got to really train to do well at anything is stuck with me. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Things just don't happen on their own. Everybody needs to train, and whether that's training for a professional sport, or giving a presentation, or meeting new clients, training at the gym. I mean, we have deliberate practice, and learning how to overcome obstacles, because we're all humans, and that's what happens. We have negative self-talk that comes up. You can't do this. You're not good enough. And it's just the way it is. So we don't have to succumb to it. If we train, we learn how to manage it. Just like anything, it'll get stronger, it'll get more powerful, and then we get to a point where we say, geez, this has been extremely helpful to me, and begin to influence, the circle around me, and I walk differently, I talk differently, I look differently, I speak differently, and I feel very confident. Not cocky either, confident. It's different. So you just wear this, as a plate of honor, on your chest, and just like the team approach, right? You have a leader in the team, you might have the quarterback, you have and everybody's like, why is that person there? Because they are the example for everybody else that, what, we're all, we can do this too. That it takes, and there's always going to be somebody that's a few steps ahead. That can be an example, and and it's powerful to accept that we help sometimes, and yeah, I'm sure the guy the other day, he said, why I've been so successful? I'm like, no. And he said, because I'm coachable. That's why.
Right.
Because I accept help. He said at time, he's in finance. He said, when I was I think it was a sophomore in college, he said he met this guy, very successful investor. He said, well, how do I do it? He said, I invested when I was young. He said, well, I want to invest too, because I want to be like you, And so very successful that way. And then with everything else, he got the team. And when he had gut feeling, I said, hey, do you have that gut feeling that you feel like you should do something? And it was around a bunch of guys at a business networking event. And like, yeah. And I said, well, you have that gut feeling you ignored, and they're like, oh God, yeah. Yeah, and he said, I only did it once because it was so bad, it was enough for me, And another guy was like, well, yeah, I did it a couple times, and I learned a lot from it. So like me, I had to crash, tear up my shoulder before I actually realized it. So some of us are faster learners than others. I look a lot faster now because you can only endure so much pain, right? And
right.
Then you have to just like step it up. So
the worst thing is when you do nothing because you're too frightened of failing. So
yeah,
you gotta put yourself out there and over a few times and figure it out.
And sometimes we are caught up, like a deer and head. And that's the thing is like, when there are those people that are reaching out their hand to, mentor, to guide, to teach, educate, to coach, to advise, it's because they're giving something back. They're giving the love back that they received, and that's what it is. It's not somebody that wants wants to see you fail. So, and it's it's hard to figure that out too, because there's a lot of ways and external stuff, with commercials. You must look this way, you must think that way. You should buy this, buy that. Image out there that tells all these kinds of stories, but the way to figure it out is to learn who we are, to define our story and align with the direction that we want to go. And we can read a story. That's the bottom line. But we need to work. Nobody's going to work.
For sure. So the question, Daniel, is if you were 18-year-old self, some advice moving forward, what would you say?
That's really a tough one, give yourself, stop in your own way and just set up, all those things that you create, all those stories you create in your head, they were lies. You need the truth for yourself, the truth within yourself, and doing that means talking to people about things that you have questions about, and don't assume anything because you're probably wrong. And I was.
I thought of everything back then too. Life was so much easier, but I think I had a lot more confidence at that time. I'm working on getting that back. So, Daniel, thank you so much for sharing your story with us today. How can people, if they want to talk to you, if they want to find out more about Sports Mind Institute, if they want to work with you, how can they get in touch with you?
For me directly, it's viscosityconsulting.com. Viscosity by SCOSITY consulting.com, and that'll link to all the social media stuff, my blogs on LinkedIn as well, and then the Sports Mind Institute. That's the sportsmindinstitute.com. And you'll see the Sports Mind Institute will be doing a whole bunch of webinars that'll be coming up, and also for the Sports Mind Institute to talk up and coming for the future. But some really exciting stuff.
And you know, don't you?
I do. I wrote a chapter called My Better Life Story, and it's on Amazon, and you can find the link to that on the front page of my website as well. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I'm sure you can go back out to the sunshine in San Diego. We're a little overcast here in New England. But thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully talk to you again very soon.
All right, talk to you soon. Thank you.
All right, signing off.